Today we are making the Dove in the Window block, which is block number 9. We've pre-cut our fabrics and labeled them with our alphabetties. Our first step is to make 16 half square triangles from our fabric A and fabric D. I'm going to be using triangle paper, and today I'm using triangles on a roll. You want to cut exactly on the line. You're going to take your fabric A and fabric D and put them right sides together. Then you're going to lay your triangle paper on top. And since there's quite a lot and you're going to sew a lot of seams, you really need to pin this. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch on the dotted line. You're going to just follow the dotted line. You're going to use a 1.5 stitch length since it's a little bit shorter and the paper will be easier to pull off. So let's go sew. So now we've stitched, and now we're going to cut on the straight line. First I'll cut around the edge. And then you just cut the lines in between. It's very important to cut exactly on the line. So now we're going to take our paper off. I like to fold my paper back and give it a nice crisp crease, and then just pull your paper off. By forming that crease, the paper is going to come off easier. So we'll just take all our paper off. To press your half square triangles, we're going to first set the seam and then press toward the darker. Just press down. You want to just follow your pattern that you can download for free on our website. You're going to pay attention to the placement of your triangles. And you're going to make 4 units like this and 4 units like this. So what I'll do is pin my fabrics at the bottom and the top. And then we're going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam and a 2.0 stitch length. And then you're going to press these units using the techniques I just showed you, following the arrows on our pattern. We went ahead and sewed these. So you've got 4 units and 4 more units. So now we're going to add fabric E squares to each end of 2 of your units. So you'll take 2 of your units and set them aside for later. We're going to just pin before we go to our machine. And again, you're going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance and a 2.0 stitch length. Cut your units apart. And then we're going to go to the ironing table and we're going to press towards your fabric E, and we'll be right back. take the units we just made, put them on your design board, and set them aside for now. We'll come back to them later. I'm going to take both of our fabric C-squares and lay them out. And we're going to add our 2 half-square triangle units that we made in a previous step. You want to just follow your pattern to make sure you've got your half-square triangles going the correct direction. Looks like we do, and we're going to just pin them together before we go to our sewing table. And again, I'm going to pin at the bottom and the top. And we're going to go to our ironing table and we're going to press towards our larger square, and we'll come back and we'll put our units together. And we're going to attach the unit from the 2 steps before. And you just really want to follow your pattern and make sure all your triangles are going the correct direction. We're just going to put them right sides together and pin. On this one, we've pressed towards the red, towards the blue. So when you put them together, your seams will nest. You'll just sew these again with a 2.0 stitch length. And then you're going to want to press towards your bigger square, so you'll set your seam and press down. Now we're ready to make our first row. We're going to make this row by putting your green unit on the left, your red unit on the right, and in the center we're going to put 2 fabric B strips. So we've got our first rows together. You're going to press these towards your fabric B, which is your center. And now let's do our second row. You're going to take 2 fabric Bs and your fabric F, and we're going to sew these together now. And then we're going to press this unit towards your B also. So I've laid out my block on the design board, and we just have to sew the last 2 seams. It's easier if you put your center row on top, pin there, pin at each of your intersections, and then sew with this on top, because this row has less seams than this row and it'll go easier through your sewing machine. So now I'm going to take this, put it on top, and pin the same way because it's easier to sew this on top. To press our block, we're going to first set our seams. So we're going to lay this flat. I'm going to finger press towards your center row and then press. Do the same on the other side. Then when my block is done, I like to starch. I use a heavy non-flaking starch. And I press it very heavy. And I'm going to let that sit for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to do an all-over press. Now we're going to do a final trim on our block. I like to trim the edges just to get it very nice and straight. I'm not trimming any seam allowance off. I'm just trying to get the little fabric trims off, little fabric hairs. To trim, I'm going to line up this center line with the line on my ruler and the edge, and I'm just going to slightly trim. And you'll see I'm just getting slivers of fabric off. And And now our block is complete. Thanks for sewing with me today. Come back on October 1st when we are going to make the Idaho Beauty block. See you then.